So it's been like a week now since the DJI Neo was released, and we already start seeing them updates. So now we have a new DJI Fly app update version 1.14.2 for the smartphone and also for the DJI RC2 here. And we also have a new firmware update for the DJI Neo, so version 1.00.0200. And looking at the DJI Fly app update here, we see that there is some fixes to some known issues to improve the version stability and the user experience. So there's no new features added to the Neo this time. But basically, ever since the Neo was released, there has been some complaints about the video quality being too sharp, it's too much contrast, and the overall saturation maybe being a little bit too high, and also the lack of manual settings when using the DJI Fly app on your smartphone, and also no return to home function when you're flying manually with these two devices. So I've been going through the entire list of everything that's on the DJI Fly app to see if there has been some visual changes or anything new compared to the previous firmware. But it all looks to be the same also when it comes to quick shots and the other settings. Now, there was one new thing that I noticed when I turned on the Neo for the first time after updating to the latest firmware. So let me see if I can reproduce that sound by turning it on again. So apparently it didn't want to say it now, but the message says fly in well-lit and textured environments, which is what I think is the major update of this firmware. But I have been out testing this, and there's no real changes other than the voice prompt actually. And when it comes to image quality, this is what it looked like before, and this is what it looks like now. Even though there's two different places, you can see there's not much that has changed in the overall image quality and the sharpness of the footage straight out of the box when using this without a dedicated remote controller. And when it comes to safety features, we still don't have that return to home when using a phone as a remote, so there's still a lot of issues that needs to be addressed in my opinion. But I also think that DJI is now working overtime to get these fixed. So this has just been a minor update to the app, both for the smartphone and for the DJI RC2 controller, and there has not been that many changes actually. So basically the voice prompt as I can see it.
Fly in well-lit, textured environments.
So it's hard to say what the actual fixes are, but I'm sure that DJI is working hard to get some of these issues that we have fixed as soon as possible. So hopefully over the next couple of weeks we will see some drastic changes to the DJI Neo. And when it comes to the overall flying experience, there's nothing that has changed. Whether you fly on your smartphone or with the RC controller, it's gonna fly exactly the same as it did before this update. So it's completely safe to update to the latest firmware and update to the latest DJI Fly app. But one thing I want to say though is if you're using the DJI RC3 controller or the DJI RC2, I would recommend that you go through all the settings to see if anything has changed after the update. Luckily for me, nothing changed this time. It did last time I updated with the Mini 4 Pro, but now it didn't. And usually I take a screenshot of my settings, especially when I dial them in for the first time, so I can keep that for later, just in case anything changes. I can easily just put everything back. But with the DJI Neo, I actually forgot to do that, so I do recommend that you do this as well, just in case something happens. It's not going to be fun when you finally have the settings that you like, finally have the best settings for you, then you head out after doing a firmware update and you start flying and it's just everywhere. And when you check the settings, you see that everything is set back to default. So yeah, definitely take a screenshot of your settings. Also, when it comes to the safety settings, which are really important to check and to see if these are actually set correct, like return to home is something you want to use if you lose the signal, and also you want to go through the altitude, distance and return to home altitude just to make sure that everything looks good really. So that's the new firmware for the DJI Neo and the DJI Fly app update 1.14.2. not much has changed really, but hopefully we can see more of these updates coming flying in over the next couple of weeks. So make sure to go ahead and update the DJI Fly app on your smartphone and the DJI RC2 controller, and then go on and update to the latest firmware on the DJI Neo. And talking about firmware updates and updates in general, what's the biggest update that you would like to see to the DJI Neo? Let me know in the comments below, guys. So that's gonna be everything for today's video. Make sure to hit that subscribe and like button, that would be appreciated. Also turn on notifications so you don't miss the next couple of videos, because there's a lot more coming.